Hey everybody here, this is John Daly with BQB Publishing. I'm here with Kelly Hollingshead, author of the new novel, Death of a Fallen. How are you doing today, Kelly?
I'm great. How are you, John?
I'm doing good, thanks. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your background and your interests.
Let's see. Grew up in a very, very large family. So when I was younger, basically anything that we wanted to do had to be free. So I spent a lot of time like um, during the summer swimming pools where my parents went to college at, where they're alumni, and then library. As cliche as that sounds, I mean we had two TVs, one downstairs and one upstairs, and the one upstairs was black and white and about that big,
Yeah,
and
oh
it
wow.
got the three channels, with
Uh-huh.
the manual turns. So yeah. So most of the time I read, which yeah, it sounds very cliche, but 100% true.
Very cool, very cool. Well, your latest novel, Death of a Fallen, it just came out not very long ago, and congratulations, by the way, on getting that. The cover looks fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. And congrats to you as well. Your recent one
Oh,
just came out.
oh well, thank you, thank you. Um,
Absolutely.
So this is book number two in the Riley series. The first book was
Yes.
Fallen Watcher.
hmm
Can you describe the genre you write in and who Riley is and what this new book is about?
The genre I write in, like my favorite author of all time is Dean Koontz. I just like how fast paced his books are. So I write like this genre is supernatural, paranormal, but I like to think of it as just really, really fast paced. If I don't have the reader at the end or the beginning of the first chapter, then I feel like I failed.
Mhm.
But yeah. So very, very fast paced, paranormal, supernatural, never a dull moment. And I like it to where every chapter, when it ends, when I've talked to friends, other readers, they're like, man, I want to put it down, but then the way you end your chapters, I'm like, okay, what happens next? I can read a few pages and then, you know, put it down. So,
Okay, very good, very good. So who's Riley?
Riley is the main character that I put through literally hell. Um, he, I forgot who wrote the uh, gosh, what is that series? Game of Thrones series, and he has
Okay,
that crazy laugh. That author, I can't think of his name, but he has that really funny laugh. And I
right.
read a comment where people they would say, "I imagine when he kills off one of his characters, him cackling, that way." And so with Riley, I don't laugh about it, but I feel sorry for him because he's kind of like the everyday guy. But I mean, he goes through so much. The first book, his wife, she dies on the wedding day, leaving the ceremony or the wedding itself. Yeah, so uh, I feel sorry for him, but at the same time, it's a great, great, great story. Of course, I'm biased,
Yeah,
but
great. So sort of I noticed you spend a lot, a fair amount of time on social media. You posted a number of photos and videos of yourself working out in your garage. So I'm curious, have you ever tested how many copies of your books you can bench press?
in the words of the great Michael Scott, 190 of
Good. Now, as you mentioned earlier, I'm an author too. We both have the same publisher. I'm curious, do you feel as I do that the two of us would sell more copies of our books if we both had full heads of hair?
Absolutely not, because we are very attractive, good-looking, ball-headed men.
Very good. Very. I'll have to have you do a blurb for my next book. That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
So curious, as a writer, what is the hardest part for you about writing books?
Well, I think is same as every author is time. I have a 2-year-old, almost 3-year-old now, and any time that I'm not with her or devoting all my time to her, I almost feel guilty. But I have a great wife; she supports me 100%, and she gives me that time that I definitely need to go and write a couple hours every night, or at least that's my goal. So whether I get to do it or not, that's another story. What was that, John?
Oh, I'm just curious. So do you usually do your writing at night?
I do. Yeah, I work a full-time job, so I can't during the day. And when I get off, I have to get that grind in, and then eat dinner, hang out with my daughter, and then write. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
In between that, and somehow I have to squeeze in the beer time, where you have a couple.
That's right. You don't want to forget about that.
No. You gotta have your what is it? I can't remember. It's your priorities. You have to have your priorities set. And no, I haven't been drinking yet.
There you go. So what would you say, that I asked you about the hardest part, what would you say is the most rewarding part for you when it comes to writing books?
Besides actually getting it out there, because I'm sure it's the same for you. You can almost, I enjoy getting lost in the story. And it's crazy. I really like that I have no idea where the book's going, what's going to happen to the characters. I have an idea of what I want to happen, but I really feel like a passenger. That first one, when I Fallen Watcher, when I finished it and I go back and reread it, there's so many times where I'm like, where did I come up with that? And then the same thing with the sequel. And then the third one, I'm a little over halfway through, and I'll ask my wife, I'm like, does this feel like I'm like going a little too far out of bounds, like with the Christian element? And I'm like, I feel like maybe I need to, she's like, no, you're good. But yeah, do you have that or experience something similar when you write, or do you like do an outline and you know exactly how it's going to go?
I do a very, very rough outline. I kind of let it take its own course as well. I don't want to have too stringent of an outline and then sort of back myself in a corner of some other idea from which to take it. But so I write a series, and you write a series as well. I'm curious, when you wrote your first book, did you know at that time that it was going to be a series, or was it originally supposed to be a standalone?
It was supposed to. I thought it was going to be a standalone. And this is what's funny. I had no idea how to get published or and so I wrote the Fallen Watcher back in 2010, and it sat dormant for 10 years. And then my wife, when we moved to New Mexico, she was like, "Why don't you pick it up again? As kind of a hobby." Because we didn't know anyone there. Our families and friends were all back in Texas. And so I was like, yeah, so I picked it up, started working on it again. And then I went on to a app called Thumbtack, and I found an editor to clean it up for me, because I knew it was rough and it definitely needed a second set of eyes. And so I sent it to this editor. She reworked it, definitely cleaned it up. And then I sent it to BQB, and I was so fortunate because the first publisher I sent it to picked it up. So I was like, oh, wow, maybe I have something here. But yeah. And then the second one, I was already writing the second one when the first one was accepted. And I'd knocked it out so fast where I was like, can I do a book a year? Because it takes so much work.
Might come out about every 2 years, and I'm envious of people that are able to put out a book a year. That is amazing too.
Yeah. But the third one, it's funny, I've been saying this forever, where I'm halfway done with it, this, that, and the other. And then I started thinking about it, and I was telling Melissa, my wife, last night, I go, I think this might be a 2-part book, because I'm at 67,000 words, 68. I was like, wow. And I'm nowhere close to being done. And I know, like, you don't want to make them too long, but you don't want to make them too short. So I'm just a passenger. We'll see where it goes.
Yep, I hear you. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know you're a busy guy. Just wanted to say once again, the novel is Death of a Fallen. Do you have that copy there with you?
Yes, of course.
Look at that cover. That is fantastic. That is fantastic.
It came out so well.
Oh, it did. It did. It really stands out. Well, I want to thank you and thank you for your time. And can you tell people watching how they can find out more about you and your books?
I have a website that I'm not too active on, kellyhollingshead.com. I would say Google me to pull up my social media. However, make sure you put author at the end of Kelly Hollingshead. Otherwise, it pulls up some hockey prospect.
Really?
So,
Really?
yes, I've actually Googled myself. I'm like, oh wow, how cool is that? So, but yeah,
That's,
when I first Googled it, that hockey player popped up, and I'm like, who is this? He
oh, I hear
stole
you.
my name.
I have a lot of empathy. As someone named John Daly, I have a rather famous
Oh
golfer
yeah, yeah.
who shares the same name. So I hear you. I'm right there with you. But thanks again, Kelly. I appreciate it. Good luck with your book and with your next book and everything else.
Thank you so much, John.
Take care.